Hey everybody, this is Allison from AllyKatkreations. How are you? I'm hanging in, chopping things, of course. We're almost at the end here with Mr. Dante. Please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share. Although I wouldn't want to share my mispronunciations on any of these things, but I laugh at them. Sometimes I get really frustrated. But poetry is not easy, especially this type of poetry. So we're going to start on Canto 31. And bear in mind, my teeth are loose. I do put Fixodent up there. Over here. And sometimes it's worse than if I just leave it. One and the same tongue first wounded me, so that it tinged the one cheek and the other, and then held out to me the medicine. Thus do I hear that once Achilles' spear, his and his father's, used to be the cause, first of a sad and then a gracious guerdon reward. We turn our backs upon the wretched valley, upon the bank that grids it around about, going across it without any speech. There it was less than night and less than day, so that my sight went little in advance, but I could hear the blare of a loud horn, so loud it would have made each thunder faint, which counter to it following its way, my eyes directed wholly to one place. After the dolorous discomfiture, when Charlemagne the Holy Empress lost, so terribly Orlando sounded not. Short while my head turned thitherward, I held, when many lofty towers I seemed to see, whereat I, Master, say, what town is this? And he to me, because thou peerest forth athwart the darkness at too great a distance. It happens that thou errest in thy fancy. Well shalt thou see, if thou arrivest there, how much the sense derives itself by distance. Deceives itself by distance. Therefore, a little faster spurred thee on. Then tenderly he took me by the hand and said, before we further have advanced, that the reality may seem to thee less strange, know that these are not towers, but giants. And they are in the well around the bank, from Narvel downward, one and all of them, as when the fog is vanishing away. Little by little doth the sight refigure, whatever the mist that crowds the air conceals. So piercing through the dense and darksome air, more and more near approaching toward the verge, my error fled and fear came over me, because as on its circular parapets, Monteregion crowns itself with towers, even thus the margin which surrounds the well, with one half of their bodies turreted, the horrible giants whom Jove menaces, even now from out the heavens when he thunders, and I of one already saw the face, shoulders and breast, and great pair of the belly, and down along his sides both of his arms. Certainly nature, when she lifted the making of animals like these, did well indeed, by making such executors from Mars. And if of elephants and whales she doth not, repent her whosoever looketh subtly. More just and more discreet will hold her for it. For where the argument of intellect is added unto evil will and power, no rampart can the people make against it. His face appeared to me as long as large, as is at Rome the pine cone of St. Peter's, and in proportion where the other bones, so that the margin which an apron was, down from the middle, showed so much of him, above it, that to reach up to his hair. 3 friars landers is vain held vaunt them, for I beheld 30 great palms of him, down from the place where man has his mantle buckles. Raphael, my amench azibi almi, began to clamor the ferocious mouth, to which were not befitting sweeter palms. And unto him my guide, soul idiotic, keep to thy horn and vent thyself with that. When wrath or other passion touches thee, search round thy neck, and thou wilt find the belt which keeps it fastened, O bewildered soul, and see it where it bars thy mighty beast breast. Then said to me, he doth himself accuse. This one is Nimrod, by whose evil thought one language in the world is not still used. Here let us leave him and not speak in vain, for even such to him is every language, as his to others, which to none is known. Therefore a longer journey did we make, turn to the left and crossbow shot off. We found another far more fierce and large. In binding him, who might the master be, I cannot say, but he had pinioned close behind the right arm and in front of the other, with chains that held him so begirt about. From the neck down, that on the part uncovered, it wound itself as far as 5th Guri. This proud one wished to make experiment of his own power against the supreme Jove. My leader said, whence he hath such deserts. Ephialtes is his name. He showed great prowess. What time the giants terrified the gods. The arms he welded, nevermore he moves. And I to him, if possible, I should wish that of the measureless Variaris, those eyes of mine might have experience. Whence he replied, thou shalt behold Antaius close by here, who can speak and is unbound, who at the bottom of all crime shall place us. Much further yon is he whom thou wouldst see, and he is bound and fashioned like to this one, save that he seems in aspect more ferocious. There never was an earthquake of such might. There could shake a tower so violently as Ephialtes suddenly shook himself. Then was I more afraid of death than ever, for nothing more was needful than the fear, if I had not beheld the manacles. Then we proceeded further in advance, and to Aetius came, who fell 5 ells. Without the head, forth issued from the cavern, O thou who in the valley fortunate, which Scipio, the heir of glory, made, when Hannibal turned back with all his hosts. Once broughtest 1,000 lions for thy prey. Excuse me, guys. And who hadst thou been at the mighty war? Amongst thy brothers, some, it seems, still think the sons of earth the victory would have gained. Place us below, nor be disdainful of it, there where the cold doth lock Cytots up. Sorry, guys, with the pronunciations. This one can give of that which here is longed for. Therefore, stoop down and do not curl thy lip. Still in the world can he restore thy fame, because he lives and still expects long life. If to itself grace call him not untimely, so said the master in haste the other, his hands extend and took up my guide, hands whose great pressure Hercules once felt. Virgilus, when he felt himself embraced, said unto me, draw nigh that I may take thee. Then of himself and me one bundle made, as seems the crescenda to behold. Beneath the leaning side, when goes a cloud, above it that opposite it hangs. Such did Aeneas seem to me, who stood watching to see him stoop. And then it was, I could have wished to go some other way, but lightly in the abyss, which swallows up. Judas with Lucifer, he put us down, nor thus bowed downward made he thee delay, but as a mast doth in a ship uprose. Canto 32. If I had rhythms, both rough and stridulous, as were appropriate to the dismissal whole, down upon which thrust all the other rocks, I would press out the juice of my conception more fully, but because I have them not. Not without fear I bring myself to speak, for 'tis no enterprise to take in jest, to sketch the bottom of all the universe, nor for a tongue that cries mama and babo. But may these ladies help this verse of mine, who helped Amphimyon in enclosing Thebes, that from the fact the word be not diverse, O rabble ill begotten above all, who are in the place to speak of which is hard. 'Twere better ye had here been sheep or goats, when we were down within the darksome well, beneath the giant's feet, but lower far, and I was screaming still the lofty wall. I heard it said to me, look how thou steppest. Take heed thou do not trample with thy feet the heads of the tired, miserable brothers. Whereat I turned me round and saw before me and underfoot a lake, that from the frost the semblance had glass and not of water, so thick a veil never made upon its current. In winter time, Danube in Austria, nor there beneath the frigid sky the dawn, as there was here, so that if Tambernich had fallen upon it, or Pietrapana, even at the edge, 'twould not have given a creak. And as to croak the frog doth place himself, with muzzle out of water, when is dreaming of gleaming oftentimes the pleasant girl, livid as far down as where shame appears, where the disconsolate shades within the ice, setting their teeth unto the note of storks, each one his countenance held downward bent, from mouth the cold, his eyes the doleful heart, among them witness itself procures. When round about me somewhat I had looked, I downward turned me and saw two so close, the hair upon their heads together mingled. Ye who strain your breasts. I don't want to say that too often. Get kicked off. Together tell me, I said, who are you? And they bent their necks. And when to me their faces they had lifted, their eyes, which first were only moist within, gushed over the eyelids and the frost congealed. The tears between and locked them up again, clamped, never bound together wood with wood. So strongly whereat they, like two he-goats, buttered together, so much wrath overcame them. And one, who had, by reason of the cold, lost both his ears, still with his visage downward, said, why dost thou so mirror thyself in us? If thou desirest to know who these two are, the valley whence Vincenzo descends, belong to them and to their father Albert. They from one body came, and all Cana. Thou shalt search that through and shall not find a shade more worthy to be fixed in gelatin, not he in whom were broken breast and shadow at one and same blow by author's hand. For Cassia, not he who encumbers. So with his head I see no farther forward, and bore the name Cello Mascheroni. Again, guys, sorry with the pronunciations. We knowest thou who he was, if thou art Tuscan, and that thou put me not further speech. Know that I, Comencion de Pazzi, was, and wait Carlino to exonerate me. Then I beheld 1,000 faces made purple with cold, whence over me came a shudder, and evermore will come a frozen pond. And while we were advancing towards the middle, where everything of weight unites together, and I was shivering in the eternal shade, whether 'twere will or destiny or chance, I know not, but in walking among the heads, I struck my foot hard in the face of one. Weeping, he growled, why dost thou trample me, unless thou comest to increase the vengeance of Monteperti? Why dost thou molest me? And I, my master, now wait here for me, that I through him may issue from a doubt. Then thou mayest hurry me, as thou shalt wish. The leader stopped, and to that one I said, who was blaspheming vehemently still, who art thou that thus prehestest others? Now who art thou that goes through Antinora? Smiting, replied he, other people's cheeks, so that if thou wert living, 'twere too much. Living I am, and dear to thee it may be, was my response. If thou demandest fame, that mid the other notes thy name I place, and he to me, for the reverse I long. Take thyself hence, and give me no more trouble, for ill thou knowest to flatter in this hollow. Then by the scalpel behind I seized upon him, and said, it must needs be thou name thyself, or not a hair remain upon thee here. Whence he to me, thou strip of my hair, I will not tell thee who I am, nor show thee, if on my head 1,000 times thou fall. I had his hair in my hand already twisted, and more than one shook of it had pulled out. He barking with his eyes held firmly down, when cried another, what doth ail thee, Bacca? It isn't enough to clatter with thy jaws, but thou must bark. What devil touches thee? Now, said I care not to have thee speak. Accused traitor, for until thy shame, I will report of thee vicarious news. Begone, he answered, and tell what thou wilt. But he not silent, if thou issued hence, of him who had just now his tongue to prompt. He weepeth here the silver of the French. I saw thus, canst thou phrase it, him of Dura, there where the sinners stand out in the cold. If thou shouldest question he who else was there, thou hast besides thee him of Bercaria, of whom the Goret Florence slit asunder. Gianni del Soldano, I think may be, yonder with Gellion and Telebeldo, who opt for an Inza, with the people slept. Already he had gone away from him, when I beheld two frozen in one hole, so that one head a hood was to the other, and even as bread through hunger is devoured, the utmost on the other side his teeth, there where the brain is to the nape united. Not in another fashion, Titus gnawed the temples of Mina Lipius in disdain. Then that one did the skull and the other things. O thou who showest by such bestial sign, they hated against him whom thou art eating. Tell me there wherefore, said I with the compact, that if thou rightfully of him complain, in knowing who ye are and his transgression, I in the world above repay thee for it, if that wherewith I speak be not dried up. Canto 33. His mouth uplifted from his grim repast, that sinner wiping it upon the hair of the same head that he behind had wasted. Then he began, thou wilt that I renew the desperate grief which wrings my heart already, to think of only ere I speak of it. But if my words be seed that may bear fruit of infamy to the traitor whom I gnaw, speaking and weeping shalt thou see together. I know not who thou art, nor by what mode. Thou hast come down here, but a Florentine. Thou seemest to me truly, where I hear thee. Thou hast to know I was Count Ugolino, and this one was Ruggerie. Saying that right, and I don't care. The Archbishop. Now I could tell thee why I am such a neighbor, that by effect of his malicious thoughts, trusting in him, I was made prisoner, and after put to death. I need not say, but nevertheless, what thou canst not have heard, that is to say, how cruel was my death. Here thou shalt know if he was wronged me. I now perfection profation in the mew, which bears because of me the title of famine, and in which others still must be locked up, had shown me through its opening many moons. Already when I dreamed the evil dream, which of the future rent for me the veil, this one appeared to me as a lord and master, hunting the wolf and whelps upon the mountain, for which the Pisceans cannot Luca see, with sleuth hounds Gonot, and eager and well trained, Giulandi with Sisimondi and Luchfran Franchi had he sent out before him to the front. After brief course seemed unto me forspent, the father and the sons with sharp tusks. It seemed to me I saw their flanks ripped open, when before the morrow was awake, moaning amid their sleep, I heard my sons, who with me were and asking after bread. Cruel indeed art thou if thou grieved not, thinking of what my heart forebode me, and weepest thou not what art thou wont to weep at. They were awake now, and the hour drew nigh, at which our food used to be brought to us, and through his dream was each one apprehensive, and I heard locking up the under door of the horrific tower, whereat, without a word, I gaze into the faces of my sons. I weep not, I within, so turned to stone. They weep, darling little Aslam mine, said, thou dost gaze, so father, what doth all thee? Still not a tear I shed, nor answer made, all of the day, nor yet the night thereafter, until after sun rose on the world, as now a little glimmer made its way into the dolorous prison, and I saw upon four faces of my own very aspect, both of my hands in agony I bit, and thinking that I did it from desire of eating, on a sudden they uprose, and they and said they, Father, much less pain twill give us, if thou do eat of us. Cannibals. Thyself didst clothe us with the poor flesh, and did thou strip it off. I calmed me then, not to make them more sad. That day we were silent, and the next. Ah, ardent earth, wherefore didst thou not open? When he came unto the fourth day, Gaddo threw himself down outstretched before my feet, saying, my father, why dost thou not help me? And there he died, and as thou seest me, I saw the three fall one by one between the fifth day and the sixth, whence I betook me, already blind to groping over each, and 3 days called them after they were dead. Then hunger did what sorrow could not do. When he had said this, with his eyes distorted, the wretched skull resumed, he with his teeth, which as a dog's upon the bone were strong. Ah, Pisa, thou operanum of the people of the fair land, there were the sea doth sound. Since slow to punish thee thy neighbors are, let the Capria and Gorgona move, and make a hedge across the mouth of Arno, that every person in thee it may drown. For if Count Ugolino had the fame of having in thy castle thee betrayed, thou shouldst not on such cross have put his sons, guiltless of any crime, thou modern Thebes. Their young maid Ufsion and Bargata, and the other two my song doth name above. We pass still further onward, where the ice, another people ruggedly in Wathis, not downward turned, but all of them reversed. Weeping itself there does not let them weep, and grief that finds a barrier in the eyes turns itself inward and to increase the anguish, because the earliest tears a cluster form, and in the manner of a crystal visor fill all the cup beneath the eyebrow full, and notwithstanding that, as in a callus, because of cold all sensibility, its station had abandoned in my face. Still it appeared to me I felt some wind, whence I, my master who sets this in motion, is not below here every vapor quenched? Whence he to me, full soon shalt thou beware, thy eye shall answer to make thee of this, seeing the cause which raineth down the blast, and one of the wretches of the frozen crust cried out to us, O souls so merciless, that the last post is given unto you. Lift from my eyes the rigid veils, that I may vent the sorrow which impregns my heart. A little ever the weeping recongeal, whence I to him, if thou wouldest have me help thee, say who thou wast, and if I free thee not, may I go to the bottom of the ice. Then he replied, I am Friar Albergerio. Here am I of the fruit of the bad garden, who here a date am getting for my fig. Oh, said I to him, now art thou too dead. And he to me, how may my body fare? Up in the world, no knowledge I possess. Such an advantage has this Ptolemy, that oftentimes the soul descendeth here sooner than Atropos in motion sets it, and that thou mayest more willingly remove from off my countenance these glassy tears. Know that as soon as any soul betrays, as I have done, his body by a demon, it is taken from him, who thereafter rules it until his time has wholly been revolved. Itself down rushes into such a crystern, and still perchance above appears the body of yonder shade the winters here behind me. This thou shouldest know if thou hast just come down. It is Sir Barranca de Orga, and many years have passed away since he was this locked up. I think, said I to him, thou dost deceive me, for Brianca de Aurea is not dead as yet, and eats and drinks and sleeps and puts on clothes. In moat above, said he, of Melbrook, there were in boiling the tenacious pitch. As yet he had Michael Zanuck not arrived, when this one left a devil in his steed, in his own body near him akin, who made together with him the betrayal. But hitherward stretch out thy hand forthwith. Open my eyes, and open them I did not, and to be rude to him was courtesy. O Genesi, ye man at variance, with every virtue full of every vice. Wherefore are ye not scattered from the world? For with the vilest spirit of Romgana, I found of you one such, who for his deeds in soul already the conquest bathes, and still above in body seems alive. Canto 34. Valexia, Regis Perdont Inferni. Towards us, therefore, look in front of thee, my master said, if thou discernest him, as when there breathes a heavy fog, or when our hemisphere is darkening into night, appears far off a mill the wind is turning. Methought that such a building then I saw, and for the wind I drew myself behind, my guide, because there was no other shelter. Now was I, and with fear in verse I put it, there where the shades were wholly covered up, and glimmered through like unto straws in glass. Some prone are lying, others stand erect. This with the head, and that one with the soles. Another bow like face to feet inverts. When in advance so far we had proceeded, that it my master pleased to show me the creature who once had the beauteous semblance. He from before me moved and made me stop, saying, behold this, and behold the place, where thou with fortitude must arm thyself. How frozen I became and powerless then, as not reader, for I write it not, because all language would be insufficient. I did not die, and I alive remain not. Think for thyself now, hast thou aught of wit? What I became, being of both deprived, the emperor of the kingdom of Dolores. From his mid breast forth issued from the ice, and better with the giant I compare. Then do the giants with those arms of his. Consider now how great must be the whole, which unto such a part conforms itself, where he has fair once, as he now is foul, and lifted up his brow against his maker. Well may proceed from him all tribulation. Oh, what a marvel it appeared to me, when I beheld three faces on his head. The one in front of the vermilion was, two were the others were joined with his, above the middle part of either shoulder, and they were joined together at the crest. In the right hand one seemed betwixt white and yellow. The left were such to look upon as those who comes from where the Nile falls valleyward. Underneath each came forth two mighty wings, such a befitting were so great a bird. Sails of a sea, I never saw so large. No feathers had they, but as of a bat. Their fashion was, and he was wavering them, so that three winds proceeded forth therefrom. Therefore, thereby Cosius wholly was congealed. With 6 eyes did he weep, and down 3 chins trickled their teardrops in bloody drivel. At every mouth he with the teeth was crunching, a sinner in the manner of a brake, so that he 3 of them tormented thus. To him in front the biting was as naught, unto the clawing, for sometimes the spine, utterly stripped of all the skin, remained, the soul up there, which has the greatest pain. The master said, is Judas Iscariot, with head inside his piles, his legs without. Of the 2 others who head downward are, the one who hangs from the black jowl is Brutus. See how he wits himself and speaks no word. And the other who is stalwart seems is Cassius. But night is reascending, and 'tis time that we depart, for we have seen the whole. As seemed him good, I clasped him around the neck, and he vantage seized of time and place. And when the wings were opened wide apart, he laid fast upon the shaggy sides, from fell to fell descended downward, then between the thick hair and froze crust, when he were come to where the thigh resolves. Oh no, I got a stuck page. Exactly on the thickness of the haunch, the guide, with labor and with hard-drawn breath, turned around his head where he had his legs, and grappled to the hair as one who mounts, so that to hell I thought we were returning. Keep fast thy hold, for by such stairs as these, the master said, panting as one fatigued, must we perforce depart from such evil. There through the opening of a rock he issued, and down upon the margin seated me. Then towards me he outstretched his weary step. I lifted my eyes and thought to see Lucifer in the same way I had felt him, and I beheld him upward hold his legs. And if I then became disquieted, let stolid people think who did not see what the point is beyond which I passed. Raise up, the master said, upon thy feet. The way is long and difficult the road, and now the sun to middle Tierce returns. It was not any palace corridor. There where we were, but dungeon neutral, with floor uneven and unease of light. From the abyss I tear myself away. My master said when I had risen, to draw from me and ever speak a little. Where is the ice? And how is this one fixed? This upside down, and how in such short time? From eve to morn, from the sun made his transit, and he to me, thou still imaginest, thou art behind the center where I grasp the hair of the fell worm, who minds the world. That side thou waste, so long I have descended. When round I turned me, thou didst pass the point, to which things heavy draw from every side. And now breath the hemisphere art come, opposite that which overhangs the vast dry land, and neath those cope was put to death the man who without sin was born and lived. Thou hast thy feet upon the little sphere, which makes the other face of the Judica. Here is morn when it is evening there, and he who with his hair a stairway made us, still fixed remained as he was before. Upon this side he fell down out of heaven, and all the land with Hulam he emerged, for fear of him made of the sea a veil, and came to the hemisphere, and peradventure to flee from him what on this side appears, left the place vacant here, and back recoiled. A place there is below from Beelzebub, as far receding as the tomb extends, which not by sight is known by the sound of a small rivulet that there descendeth through chasm within stone, which is gnawed with course. The winds about slightly falls. The guide and I into the hidden road now entered to return to the bright world, and without care of having any rest, we mounted up, he first and I second, till I beheld through a round aperture some of those beauteous things which heaven doth bear. Hence we came forth to behold the stars. And that, my friends, is the end of the Inferno by Dante Alighieri. I'm going to make another video about the endnotes and to talk about, I won't read it all, but I'll skim through it to get the gist of anything that people may have missed or may have not understood. And of course, I butchered a lot of names, but that is in my nature. Why, of course, I am human after all in this density. Sending each and every one of you love and light. I hope you enjoyed this book. And notes should be coming out tomorrow. I should do a video on that. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel. There's a lot more to come. Be on the lookout. Have a great day, night. My co-host says hi. She's on her way up. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.